One of our M2M gateways. I'm going to power it up. I'm going to plug it in just to get it going. And I'm going to talk more about the application, but I want to boot this thing up. All right, so it's booting up straight out of the box. For the demo, I'm using Ethernet just because Wi-Fi in a trade show is never good. All right, so normally you just use Wi-Fi or some other wireless solution. So while that's booting up, here's the application. Walk-in freezer. We have we're going to monitor the temperature with a temperature, motion, humidity, luminosity sensor. This is battery operated. It's using Z-Wave technology. Door contact sensor, again, wireless using Z-Wave technology. And a alerting system. This is a strobe light and a siren, and you can actually control which way it goes. So I'm actually going to add these things. These are the devices right here. I'm going to add these things to the gateway, and you're going to see exactly how this works from scratch. We're not cheating. We're not doing anything advanced. And my counter keeps on counting here, so I'm going to keep on going. And I'm going to switch over. All right, this is good. Refresh. Is it booting up? Excellent. Okay, so the first thing we're going to add is this door contact sensor. So here it is out of the box. Door contact sensor right here. It's a Z-Wave device. It's got a battery in it. That's the only thing I pre-installed. And so I'm going to add this device. This gateway doesn't know anything about this device yet. So I'm going to go add device. It's waiting for a device. You click the little add button here, and it talks to the gateway. And it will say, adding device as soon as it gets going. Try moving it first, and then we'll add it. Well, this is not going nearly as well as the Battle of the Platforms. All right, did it boot up? Yep, it's going. All right. Oh, I know what I did. All right. Check devices, good. Settings, Z-Wave devices, add a device. There we go. So that's pairing now, so that's going to be part of the application. This represents the freezer door, so I'll install it. All right, there's the freezer door. So also we want to set up the alarm. It is strobe light and alarm. I'm going to plug this guy in. Put him right up there. So he's powering up. We'll call this device, the one we just added, we'll call that the door so we know what the thing is. We'll say done. Okay, so the contact switch is fully installed. Now I'm going to install the strobe light. We'll add the device. So this is a full-on, we're just going from scratch here. This is what the installer will do. All right, so the strobe light is being added. While that's being added, the last device I'm going to add is the temperature sensor. This is what goes in the freezer. This actually senses multiple things, motion, light, all sorts of things like that, but we're just going to use the temperature for this application. Meanwhile, the siren is added. We'll just call that siren. All right. This is a one-man show. One guy can do this. All right, and then we're going to add the final device, which is the temperature sensor. This one's got an add button right inside, so I'll click the add button here. Now, I mentioned this is actually a multi-device, so this is going to appear as more than one device, so I'll name each one of them as it comes up. It's got the light sensor, the humidity, motion, and temperature, so each one of those are going to get added. And this is the physical part of it, so this is the part that gets installed, just the hardware part. Also, there's the Z-Wave module that plugs in here that makes adding these devices easy. It could be Zigbee, could be Wi-Fi, could be Bluetooth, could be cellular, any kind of solution there. All right, so the parent we won't name, but then the motion sensor. Oh, I'm going to switch to the mic to this guy again. All right, switching to this mic, and then we'll just call the motion sensor. We want to name them so we can do the script and we know what we're talking about. So we'll call this motion, and then the next device that got added is the temperature. We'll just call that temp. Imagine the installer doing this while the client's actually watching over his shoulder, just like you guys are. We'll call this loom, and he's actually doing it. And then finally, the final sensor that was the humidity. We'll just call it hum for humidity, just to keep things quick. All right, everything is added. All the devices are talking to each other. They're installed in that walk-in refrigerator, but it doesn't do anything yet. So that's the second half of the equation. How are you going to program this device to actually implement the solution? So putting the hardware together was like Lego building blocks, just putting the devices together very quickly. There's no complexity there. You plug it in, you add them, and you're done. But how do you write the software? Well, typically, you'd require weeks or months of development time to write Lua script or Python or C or whatever you might want to do. It's an embedded Linux operating system. You can certainly do that. But to make things super simple, to get things up in minutes instead of months, we are creating a brand new script on this device, and we'll call this, let's say, open door, because we're trying to sense when the door is open. All right, so this is what the guy's going to do. It's going to you can't make a syntax error with this. The only valid things you can do are spoon-fed to the user. So in this case, when the door is open, we want to trigger an alarm if the door is open too long. So the trigger, we have a trigger, and the trigger is going to be what? If these are the things we've added, the only things that are valid are listed here. The door, the siren, the temperature. So in this case, we're triggering on the door. What can a door do? There's only certain things the door can do. There's actually a battery level sensor in there, but we just want the door contact switch. The door is, what can a door be? Only open or close. So you select that. That's the trigger. That's all you need to do. So what do you do after that thing is done? Well, you want it to, you want to pause. You want to wait we're going to do 10 seconds for this demo instead of 10 minutes, just to simulate the door being open for a certain amount of time. So we'll pause for 10 seconds. And then, if the door is still open after 10 seconds, so we could trigger on anything we want, but in this case, we'll say if the door is still open, again, only the things you can do are the things fed to you. You cannot make a syntax error. If the door is open, then we want to set the strobe light on. So we go set, and the only thing I can set out of the devices I installed is the siren, so that's the only thing that pops up here. And the strobe setting. Now I could have this audible or blinking only. I think we'll go for blinking only this time because. Well, what do you guys want? Do you want audible or you want blinking only? Both. Okay, let's do both. So we'll do that, and that's it. This script is done. So this is done in the cloud. So all I want to do is download it into this gateway. So I update the gateway. That translates this into the code that actually downloads it into the gateway. That's done. I activate the script to make sure it's up and running. So theoretically, if I open this door for longer than 10 seconds, this alarm's going to go off. So let's see what happens. All right. So here's the door. Door open. So countdown: 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, okay. It worked. All right. So now we have to turn this thing off. So let's set a script. So if the door closes, we'll turn this thing off. So we'll do another script. We'll call it closed. Doing this one hand now. Closed. So this is a one-handed demo. Okay. So trigger. In this case, we want the door again. Device. We want the door. If the door is closed. So the only thing that can happen is a contact switch. Open and close is the only options. We want closed. If that happens, then no pausing. We want to turn off this alarm. So we'll set the siren, being the only thing I can do here. Siren, it's only got one setting. And I'll set it to off. And that's it. So we will update the gateway to get the code into the gateway, which is done. We'll activate it. All right, so I will quickly walk over to the door. All right, so that worked. So that's half the, thank you, thank you. All right, so that's, thank you for the applause. Have a shirt. There we go. All right, so one for that last thing. Well, the other thing we want to do, if the temperature of that refrigerator is too high, we want to do something. In this case, let's text message somebody that refrigerator went too high. So one more script. So we'll do, create a script. We'll call it overtemp. All right. And actually, before we do the script, I'm going to go to the devices because I want to set up the text messaging. So one of the text messengers is a device. So look at the list of devices. One of the things is I have to add a virtual device, which is a text messenger. So add virtual device. That's a text messenger is not a physical thing, but this is something that it supports. So I'll add a text messenger. All right, and I need a phone number. Do we have any volunteers that wants to receive a text that says the refrigerators? All right, 201. Okay. 931. 5870. All right, and we will simply send you a message that says, warning, over temp. You can do whatever you want. I'll just do that. So that's the message. So once it goes, that's the message that's going to go. So now we'll go back to the script. Over temp, which I misspelled, which is fine. We will edit the script because we have to continue editing here. So the trigger here is what? The trigger is going to be a device. It could have been time of day, whatever. In this case, I want to do the temperature sensor, which is one of the things we add. I named it temp. So say if temp, what are we doing? Well, say if air temperature. That's the only thing the temp sensor can do. You can't make a mistake here. If the temperature is greater than, and even though this room is cold, it's not as cold as 32 degrees. So we'll say if it's over 32 degrees, that's the trigger. And what are we going to do if that trigger occurs? We're going to set that virtual device, which is a text messenger. So the text messenger is here. You could have named it anything you wanted. And we're going to just say send message. Send. And that's it. That script is done. All we have to do is update the gateway and then activate it. Now, this script is executing right away. It's immediately reading the temperature, so it's already over 32 degrees. So theoretically, within a moment, Carl is going to receive a text message that says that over temp occurred. So what actually happened here? Let's go back to the slides here. Go to presentation mode. All right. So what actually happened here? We had we were able to reduce the development time that normally takes months. Certainly at least weeks. We got that down to minutes. In my 15-minute allotted time, we actually did a full-on application that did multiple things, and this could have been more complex. It's easy to add complexity to these scripts. It went from months to minutes. So here at Systech, we're actually redefining the term M2M, which most of you believes actually stands for machine to machine. Actually, it now stands for months to minutes. So M2M, months to minutes, we're able to do that. If you're going to get to 50 billion devices by 2020, you need to have solutions that right off the shelf you can get up and running immediately without the development time, without the hardware certification, without the software testing. So you could do that with the hardware integrated devices from Systech, with the plug-in modules for any kind of interface you might want. You just plug in what you need. So that's available off the shelf. You get that up in minutes. And then with the software, you're able to create these scripts extremely fast. And anybody can do it. You don't need to be a software engineer to be able to create these scripts. Anybody can install them. So a lot of things happen behind the scenes, right? This is not like it's simple stuff. But to the user and even to the system integrator, the complexity is gone. There's a data plan, right? There's cellular going on. That's completely hidden. There's an M2M platform going on. That's completely hidden. All these things are actually happening, but they're not visible to the user or the system integrator. You could actually use this to manage multiple locations. And from a competitive perspective, a lot of companies do gateways. And so if you just want bridging, a lot of companies do that. If you want software programmability by putting software within the gateway, only a few companies do that. If you want this hardware modularity with the plug-in modules, very few companies do that. But if you want this 10-minute solution, being able to come off the shelf with a solution, that the Systech is really the only company that can do that. So, Carl, how am I doing on time?
You are doing actually far better on time than I imagined. You made the 15-minute allotment, and you've got 5 minutes for questions.
Perfect. Excellent. All right. Thank you very much.
Are there questions? I warn you, if you ask a question, you may be thrown a T-shirt.
Can you log the data over time?
Absolutely, and that's something you can choose, and you can chart it if you want. But basically, we capture it, and you can choose to chart it with the software here, or you can access it with your own software. We have a RESTful API interface, so you can get the properties and values of any device, even the time labeled numbers.
Other questions from the audience?
T-shirt.
Oh wait, hold on, wait. Go ahead.
Are these choices predetermined, or do they? Are they?
When a device is added, we know what properties are available, and only those properties are made visible. If a device is added that we don't know about, then the generic properties become visible. For example, the door contact switch, we know a door could be open or closed, so we present that. But let's say we didn't know about that door contact switch. All we know is that it's a true or false value. We'll present that or true as false. You just have to know what that means. But once a driver is created for that device, that a schema is created essentially, and we provide the right properties in English so the person knows how to deal with that.
Who creates those drivers?
Who creates those drivers?
And, well, this is a brand new product. So right now, these drivers are ones we created, but over time, we're going to have the documentation so you can create your own drivers. It's a standard embedded Linux operating system in here, so any Linux guy could do a driver.
Hold on, Carlos Elvis.
Just curious to know how you manage the SIMs. Is it through Jasper or other portal?
So we actually are very agnostic as far as the cellular data plans. We have multiple cellular carriers in different regions. We're pre-certified already on Verizon, on AT&T, on Rogers, on Sprint. And we also have data plans also. You don't have to use our data plans. We pre-negotiated good rates, but if you have your own data plan, your own cellular service provider, as long as it falls on that list, we've already pre-certified that. You don't have to wait or pay for any kind of certification beyond that.
Is Bell Canada on that list?
Bell Canada's not on that list, but if we had a customer driving it, we'd do it.
Hey, you say it's optimized for large deployments. How does it work with the scalability? How does it scale?
Right. This is actually designed for scalability. So you saw that I was just controlling one restaurant in this case. But if a restaurant chain owner likes the script and wants to deploy it to hundreds or thousands, that one script can be duplicated to all those with one command. And then if any edits are made to that script, that edit will be distributed to those same gateways.
So does this require SmartWorks hardware, the SmartWorks gateway, or can you use other gateways?
So it's on the Systech gateway. So it runs on our Systech gateway.
Oh, Systech. I'm
Right.
sorry. So it requires. Oh, so it doesn't require any specific hardware gateway.
It requires the use of, we use Systech. We do these gateways. We make the modules that plug in, and the scripting software is designed to go on the gateway. If you're looking to license the technology, come talk to me afterwards. We can get on details on that.
And we've got the last question. The last question over here.
Is this subscription-based, or is it a one-time fee for your solution?
So, good question. First of all, this scripting application is in the cloud, and what it does is it creates code that actually gets downloaded to the gateway, and then once it's in the gateway, internet access is no longer needed. All of these decisions that are being made are executing on the gateway locally. So even if you lost internet connectivity, these local decisions, the door open, setting the alarm, reading the temperature, all that is actually operating within the gateway. The business model for actually licensing the software, we're extremely flexible on that. We have one-time options. We have a recurring revenue option. So flexibility is really required for machine-to-machine Internet of Things. There's so many different applications this can go into, and we're flexible as well on how we license it.
With that, Robert, give him a round of applause. Thank you so much.